This is Kitco Mining's special coverage of the Future Minerals Forum.
Hello and welcome back to Kitco Mining at the Future Minerals Forum in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, with me, Paul Harris. Joining me now is Jonathan Cordero, CEO of a private company, Saudi Gold Refinery. Jonathan, welcome to Kitco.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I imagine Saudi Gold Refinery is a name that's not common usage amongst much of our listeners. So maybe let's start with a summary about the company and what it does.
Yeah, perfect. No, we appreciate that we've been flying under the radar for quite some time, although the company has a very long-lasting history. Saudi Gold is the mining arm of the Al Futtaim family, a very large family in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, very well diversified along many industries. We originally have our roots in the jewelry business and then went upstream. We have one operating mine with a production capacity of around 65,000 ounces of gold. As the name implies, we're heavily focused on gold itself, but we're also doing exploration into base metals, particularly copper. We have 17 active exploration licenses that we're doing work on, and we're heavily expanding there. We operate mainly very integrated, so we own and operate all the services that are required for that. Plus, as the name implies, we have a refinery here in Riyadh that is refining our own product. So we don't take third-party volumes at this stage.
Now, a lot to go through there. Let's start with the exploration assets. I think you said 17 assets.
That's right.
You're not just working on those on your own, you've got a number of partners involved as well. Is that part of the strategy that the company obtains the exploration concessions, then seeks a partner to help advance them into development into projects?
So the strategy is following a hybrid operating model. On the one hand, we're trying to build our capacity in-house, and we would like to control as much as we can from the value chain. So we integrate services, but at the same time, we are looking actively for partnerships to expedite development processes and upskilling ourselves.
Okay, now, I think one thing that's very interesting about being here is the fact that Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is opening up to mining investment. It's opening up to mineral exploration and development. What are some of the key changes that you've seen over the years, and are there more to come?
Yeah. So I personally was here in the Kingdom in 2009 for the first time when I was still a strategy consultant. Then I came back then about 4 years back now, and the country has changed completely. And every time I come here, I see more changes. There's incredible growth and development. As you rightly said, it's opening up, it's inviting people to come here and to operate.
Now, what is the exploration potential of the country? As you mentioned, it was pretty much closed off for a long period of time, except for perhaps oil and gas exploration. But now the country is really sort of getting to grips with mineral exploration. Obviously, it's part of the geological environment, the Arabian Shield. What is the geological potential?
Well, if you look at it from a mineral systems approach, you only have maybe a handful of really exciting areas in the world, of which the Arabian Nubian Shield is on the very top list. And at the same time, it comes at a very stable environment and excellent infrastructure. So I think this is what makes it particularly exciting. But we also need to appreciate that it's all in its infancy. The mining sector is not developed. We have very strong infrastructure and real estate in oil and gas, but not in mining itself. So it requires investors and companies to really be able to work on grassroots exploration from first principles, but also be able to carry it through into production.
Many countries, many jurisdictions have, let's say, a staking system that the first company to come in and stake the ground is awarded the concession exploration license. Is that the case in Saudi Arabia, or do they have a different approach to determining who gets to explore?
Yeah, I've seen many different mining codes in various jurisdictions, and most of it follow exactly the first come, first served principle. What I've experienced with the ministry is that they've been learning a lot from the mistakes that other countries have done, where companies have staked ground but not being developed. I think they've done a very good job in putting means in place to avoid that. For example, after 25 licenses, there's a special committee that reviews the technical and financial capacity of the company to carry it through. There's a minimum commitment of spend per annum per square kilometers that is increasing to make it really painful to just hold on to assets. I think that's a fantastic way of doing it, and it incentivizes companies like us that really want to develop the asset itself instead of just holding on to it for a quick buck.
I've spoken with several exploration companies that are active here in the kingdom, and one thing they tell me is quite refreshing being in a country where the government actually wants mining and does things to facilitate it, to, I guess, reduce the time it takes between, exploration, discovery, and ongoing towards development.
100%, I couldn't agree more. So I've been seeing a lot of countries where the policies just kind of want it. Here there's a real commitment. Mining is the third pillar of the Vision 2030, of the transformation away from fossil fuels. And you really feel that. So you have a very active government that is intimately involved in every single company and walking the process together with you.
Well, you really feel that energy here at the Future Minerals Forum. There's 20,000 people, 20,000 delegates here. It's a very exciting vibe. You can, it's tangible. You can feel it. What's your impression of the vibe here at the event?
I really love it. So it's not only this event, but you feel it in the streets. You feel it with when you interact with the stakeholders here, being in the ministry, being other players. You have an incredibly young and motivated workforce that is behind this Vision 2030, pushing the factor forward. So I'm particularly excited and I love being here.
Excellent. Now, we started our conversation by you giving us a summary about what Saudi Gold Refinery is, what its business is. Let's bring that up today. Let's bring it into 2025. What are your goals for this year? Where do you want to get the company to this year?
So for us, 2025 is really about internal capacity building and external partnership building. We're growing our drilling capacity from around 500,000 meters to about 1 million meters drilling capacity per year. We're insourcing more. We have our own lab that we're growing from about 250 assays per day capacity to about 1,000. We're ramping up our geophysics team. We're building a remote sensing and AI team here. And at the same time, we are in the process of signing quite a few and exciting deals with larger international companies for joint exploration here in the kingdom.
It is quite unique having a company that pretty much has all the different elements of exploration within the company, rather than using, let's say, third-party laboratories, third-party geophysics companies, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I always like to say, mining is a simple business model, but it's not easy. Eventually, it's all about controlling the value chain and the million things you need to get right, and that's what we're trying to do.
Does that translate into a relatively modest drilling cost per meter, for example?
Oh, 100%. I think we are about a quarter of the market price here, and we're trying to keep costs down, and we're trying to control it, and that eventually shall result in cheaper, quicker, and better discoveries.
Now, in terms of the bigger strategy, as and when you find deposits, is your strategy to go ahead and develop those, bring those into production, or look for other partners to bring into production, or just to sell them up?
So one thing I can say, we're here to build mines. We're not here to discover and sell. Now, whether we're going to take everything alone into production, it's a bit too early to say. I firmly believe mining is a team sport, and we should get the best companies in the world to work alongside with us.
Well, undertaking 17 projects at one time, it was more than enough for anybody.
Absolutely, yes.
Excellent. Well, Jonathan Cordero, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
We have a lot more to come from the Future Minerals Forum here in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, so stay tuned and hit that subscribe button. I'm Paul Harris, and this is Kitco Mining.
This is Kitco Mining's special coverage of the Future Minerals Forum.